Welcome to our weekly update and all things stock market. I'm Stephen Englander and you're watching Between the Spreadsheets. With me today is our stock market and trading expert, Simon Rothman. So tell me, Simon, how much money have you lost on the stock market this week?
We won't go into that one, shall we?
All right. Well, actually, I mean, stock market's great. I think it should be given a gold medal for all the diving it's done this year. So,
yeah,
that's my stock market joke. So, what's gone on? What's gone on?
The actual stock market's a very broad term because which stock market are we talking about? We're talking the American one, the UK one.
Well, we're doing a roundup. Tell me the winners and the losers.
Sure. So this week's been very busy on the gold and silver market, the commodity markets. Gold and silver have continued their massive rise upwards, flight to safety, etc. Also, with interest rates being so low at the moment, there's no real loss of income by being in gold rather than, say, being in bank deposits. So they've continued their very high rise this week. Gold is at an all-time high. It's beaten its 2011 record.
Right. Should we be buying gold?
Well, that's a $64,000 question, really. It's where you think it's going to go from here. Most people with a portfolio, what you call a diversified portfolio, would have some element of gold or gold investment.
This week, gold's done well.
Gold's done well. Silver's done even better.
So the gamble is it going to do well next week? And you say silver's done even better?
Yes, silver's done even better.
Is it going to continue to do well? There's the option, but it has done well this week.
It's done tremendously well.
The signs are saying that it's probably going to continue to do well.
Well, certainly those are the views of some of the experts.
And are there any stocks, any companies that are particularly exciting at the moment?
Well, there has been a lot of excitement in the tech companies in America, and they have moved up massively during the course of the year. They're perceived as stay-at-home stocks, so they've benefited in a way from the unfortunate pandemic. They have powered forward. Whether they're worth a buy now is another question because they've already moved up so far.
If you'd have bought this week, would it have been a good week for you?
The tech shares have moved up slightly this week, have moved up a few percent, but it's more been over the last 6 months that they've really, really powered ahead.
Not being a gambler, and I know you don't like gambling, and I know you're not a risk taker, would you buy the shares next week?
Personally, I wouldn't because I think the valuations are very full. Yeah. But everybody else seems to be buying Apple shares and
the more people buy, the more the price goes up.
Yeah.
No, because one of the funny things about the stock market is that every time you buy a share, someone sells one, and you both think you're being astute.
Well,
okay, I just thought I'd get that in.
That's true. That's true.
So, are you going to be buying any particular shares or investments next week?
That would depend on where the market goes next week. I mean, in terms of the UK stock market, it has fallen over 20% from its peak. So that is perceived in some ways as a buying opportunity. But again, with this pandemic, etc., and the economic negative growth going forward, whether it's an optimal time to buy, I'm not sure. But I tend to, if the market drops, I tend to look at something to buy. What I would make the point, which is quite important, is you don't have to buy individual shares. You can buy collective funds, which reduces the risk of owning individual shares, but also can reduce the return.
Right. Well, that's interesting. And if anybody wants some advice on how to do that, they can always contact you, or contact me, and I'll contact you. Because there's no real formula for the stock market. I mean, I think John Keynes, I think he once said something that markets can remain irrational far longer than you can remain solvent. So keep things going.
I think that's a fair comment, but generally I tend to avoid economists' comments because they tend to be very bad at predicting the stock market in general terms. Never ask an economist for where the market's going to go.
Because it's based on how people see it as individuals, isn't it? So one last, before we go, because this is a quick roundup, it's not our usual show. Next week, how are you planning your investment strategy next week?
next week I'm going to be taking another look at gold and silver. I do have some money in there at the moment. I would say this is not directly owning the silver as in gold coins. There are ways of investing in gold and silver, collective investments.
You buy the right to own it, don't you? You buy a certificate.
Well, that would be a derivative, but no, if you buy, there are what's called ETFs, exchange traded funds. They actually do own the gold. You would buy a share in the ETF.
Okay.
But that follows the gold and silver price. I'll be looking at it. I'm not suggesting I'm going to buy it. I do have a few investments there already.
Yeah.
I've made a little bit of profit on that. Yeah. I would also be looking just at some UK shares. Like I said, the market has fallen quite a long way.
Who are you looking at in UK shares? Who's your favourite?
Well, I really don't like to give specific tips because sometimes you can be right, sometimes you can be wrong.
And who's your favourite? If anyone listens to Simon, they've got to be off their head anyway. But who?
Well, I think commodities could be quite important going forward, especially if we become in an inflationary environment in the future.
Are you going to invest in Accounts Direct? You'll regret that one. You will regret that one. All right, Simon. Thank you. So we'll be back again next Friday, won't we? And hopefully we will have some juicy tips next week. Just one last question. Are you up or down from this time last week?
I'm up on my spread bet account and down on my portfolio.
Overall,
yeah.
Are you up or down?
About even Steven this week.
Okay, so we've had some fun.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Simon. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
All right.